Make us all a prayer to Hashem. This is Baruch Fleischman, your Saba, with the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. As we've been learning along in Rabbi MIMRAN, we have a concept in Judaism which is called the Yetzer. There's two Yetzers. These are inclinations. This is a balance between two forms. A Yetzer Tov is to be a giver and to want to be as close to God as possible, want to be pure. And then there's another aspect of us, which is physical, which is called the Yetzer, the bad inclination. The physical inclination, the inclination to only want to be physical. So over in the last part, he said that I'm going to tell you what the Yetzer is. That is the inclination to follow your lusts, your appetites. Let's just say appetites. Is another word for the ego. Because the ego wants to dress you, wants to promote you, wants to make you dominant. All of these different kinds of things, but in reality, it's false because in the end you can't take it with you. So you get nothing out of all of the ego. But the ego is dominant in most of our lives. So he says the Yetzer is denial of the Neshamah. The Neshamah is this opening to nothing, to the real truth. He says love for Hashem is the greatest level one can reach spiritually. Since love is what attaches the one who is loved with the one who loves. Let's get that again. It makes an attachment to the one who is loved, the receiver, with the one who loves, the giver. Makes it into oneness, which causes an intelligent, wholesome connection. Now this is really a little misprint here. It's from the Sefer Ikrim, Roots, the Sefer of Roots. So let's go on and let's read what he writes over here. He said the mind always seeks to deny the Neshamah. The Neshamah is the real truth. To entrap one in the ego mentality. The more we are able to honor, accept, and feel the presence of our neshamas, the more we will be free from this entrapment. Why does the mind habitually deny the neshama or resist the neshama's existence? Now, again, I keep using this analogy of this lady, and I want to encourage everyone to write a comment. I'm not in it for the money. I really want to see that we're spreading these ideas. This is really the real Kabbalah. This is really what we're trying to do, is create oneness with God. Why does the mind habitually deny the neshama or resist the neshama's existence? The answer is that we live in a linear universe. Now here's a word. What does it mean, a linear universe? One in which all things happen along a continuum that is determined by the passage of time. Now, let me try to translate this, because I think I have an idea. Is that time, which exists only for us in the fact that we have short lives, that within that ultimate will that he was talking about earlier, there's the concept that we are going to live short lives. We know we're born to die. That's always in our minds. So he said, but the fact is that this time that we're talking about it continues, it never stops. It's a continuum that is determined by the passage of time. So you see that, how do we know that, well, yesterday was here, overday is here, but it's still moving in the same direction. This means that the mind cannot remain in control. Because the world, another way that I would say this in the astrological sense, is that the world is turning. It never stays in the same place. Not only is it turning itself, but it's also going through space, whatever the space is. It's also moving there too. Never in the same place twice. Go visit the same place, but not exactly the same. In fact, it cannot function at all without the element of time. Now, time is defined by the past and the future, and time and mind are inseparable. Therefore, as the mind perceives it, The existence of a timeless neshama is a threat to its own temporal existence. The mind wants to live forever, too. It wants to be in total control so that it could live forever. Now, I have, I'm getting older, so now I constantly around young people, my children, but not only that, but the community I live in is all full of young families. I know names and dates and all kinds of famous things and people, and that nobody ever heard of. They you start talking, they didn't know what you're talking about. They'll talk about something else. So many prominent whatevers are gone. They just constantly keep changing. But over the course of time, we remember some of the names, but it doesn't do you any good when you're gone. Imagine how the earth would be if it were devoid of human life, if it were inhabited only by plants and animals with no human mind to keep track of its ever-changing circumstances. Like a historian, like we have that we're watching. We're watching who we are, where we're going, what's happening. Would it then still have a past and a future? No, it wouldn't. Would we be able to speak of time in any meaningful way? Well, we wouldn't be there because all there is plants and animals. And they have no concept of time. The point being made here is that time does not need to be the controlling factor in one's life. Take breathing. Let's take that as an example. Everyone would agree that breathing is crucial to all living things, but no one would think to make an issue out of it. Do people worry about breathing? Do they question whether they are going to breathe at the next instant? Do they have to kind of get yourself up to breathe? No. It's the same with time. Of course, there are advantages and benefits to time, but one does not need to worry about it. It's a natural process. Things keep moving along, like breathing. That takes care of itself. The point is not to make an issue of time. I don't have enough time. In my life, I would say that I'm always late. I feel like I'm always late. I am always late. And I don't have enough time. I can't get through it. So, of course, we need both the mind and time in order to function in this world, because we're here no matter what you do. This is not the world of nothing. This is the world of absolute something. But when they take over our life, that's the problem. That is where dysfunction, pain, and sorrow set in. Now, in order to ensure that it remains in control, the mind is continually seeking to silence or at least to cover up the voice of the timeless Neshamah. So I keep thinking back to, different great things, bad things that have happened to the Jewish people by the church, particularly in Spain, thinking about that. About how they took and tried to make time stand still by what they did to the Jews. It does this by flooding itself with stories of the past and expectations of the future, and these stories lead the mind to worry and anxiety. If left to its own devices, the mind will embrace time obsessively. Remember that lady who had obsessive thoughts? And this will give it tremendous power to obscure the vitality, the infinite creative potential, and the many sensations of the Neshamah, which are bedded deep down inside of us. This will leave you feeling drained. And the world that was created to enable you to thrive, if we do not learn to bring our minds under our control, we will lose touch with our true magnificent nature. Time is turned into an increasingly heavy burden that has been accumulating in the human mind. All of us suffer under this burden, but we also keep adding to it, moment by moment, whether we ignore or deny our precious Neshamah energy. By constantly contemplating past events, or in a theoretical future when I get there, which exists only in the mind, never really in actuality, we reduce the Neshamah's ability to smooth over the path for us in our life's journey by allowing us, I would add, to be attached to the truth. Writes in this little blurb, let's get down real close and see it. The more we are able to honor, accept, and feel the presence of our neshamahs, the more we will be free of pain, free of suffering, and free of the ego mind. This is Baruch Fleischman. You've been listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. I'm your very own Saba.